Good afternoon, golf fans, both here in Chicagoland and all around the world, and welcome to your match play final for NeoTurf Masters here at Combo Breaker 2024. It's so glad to have you all with us. I am 4C Joe, joined alongside ThatFreakingCat. We are going to be taking you through the match play final for our NeoTurf Masters tournament.
It's going to be a much anticipated match. We have two very unique golfers this time around. Normally we have ourselves a Landalt sweep most of the tournaments, but today we have Fernando Almeida, who is the power golfer, and then we have the veteran Frank Adams, two very, very different golfers with two very different sets of skills.
It is a tale of two extremes here. Like you said, normally we are used to seeing Landholt just kind of steamroll through everything because he is the best golfer in the game. But this weekend has just been so filled with surprises. The match play, or the stroke play portion of it has just been filled with a lot of different upsets. So now we have our two finalists here. Oh, the juggling skills, that's height. So on the left hand, your guys' right hand side there, that is Deca Fumo Death Cult from Cleveland, Ohio, and his opponent, the organizer for this very event from Montreal, Quebec, Canada, Kyle at Games.
This is Kyle's first chance at actually placing in the tournament as well, and Deca Fumo's first tournament ever at a local.
That's very interesting. His first tournament ever and made it to the match play final. And we're going to be playing on the Blue Lagoon Golf Course in Australia, a very tricky course indeed, favoring of the distance golfers. Lots of long, far-stretching par 4s and 5s. You need somebody with the distance. And already giving a little bit of the showcase. The top spin, skipping across the water like a stone on a clear lake.
Showing you what I can do, what you can't.
So this is going to be the tale of two differences. Like you said, Frank, the veteran, he can go into any rough, any sort of patch of tall grass and is unaffected by it completely. Yeah. Meanwhile, on the other end of that, Almeida, if he gets into the rough, it's going to be very tough for him to get out.
Wow.
Very nice shot there. But the drawback is, veteran cannot drive the ball very far. There's a lot of par 5s that he's just going to force to 3-shot it in order to get onto the green. Meanwhile, Almeida, he is the furthest hitting golfer in the game.
All right, both players showing a very strong set of approaches right off the bat.
Yeah. This first hole, the first hole in all courses in NeoTurf Master are just like this. Pretty straightforward. It's par 4, straight, with a fairway that doesn't have a whole lot of hazards and a completely flat green. So all you got to do is get it onto the putting surface and match that white indicator to putt it in for your first birdie to start off the day very strong.
Both golfers do have one of the hardest putting meters in the game. The pip itself is not always entirely accurate. It does not take into account of hills and grain and other particular circumstances that you have to be aware of. So these golfers in particular will have to really, really think about if it's worth going on that pip or not.
Yes, and of course this is going to be very interesting to see because the putting between these two are very bad. So on the greens, these two are fairly matched in terms of ability. So, especially as we get into the back nine of Australia, where it's very infamous for its hilly greens, really weird breaks, and sometimes very brutal grains. So let's see if the RNG is in one player or another's favor. Also, another factor here that you got to keep in mind, speaking about random factors, is the wind. Now, how wind works in this game, if you see that little indicator where it shows the direction of the wind, that direction is relative to the north-south direction facing the course. It is not to the player's back. So that means that there is a bit of a crosswind with a little bit of a drag to the south as well. So if you see that wind indicator, you have to adjust your shot accordingly. And all the wind values randomly generated. On one hole, you can have no wind, and on your very next shot, all of a sudden, you can have a 6-meter crosswind.
Yep. RNG definitely can play a big part. You might be able to see your opponent do a shot, and you want to take the exact same shot, but if you get the wrong RNG, you're going to have to change your approach entirely. Easy birdie, easy birdie.
icing the kicker a little bit. Now is Kyle at Games' turn to putt in for birdie. Should be easy. And very nicely done. Yeah, no grain, flat part of the green. That pin placement was very, very easy. So all square going into the third here at Australia.
But we are going into Australia 3, which is a relatively tricky par 3.
Yes, the par 3 at Australia is it's a pretty tough par 3 to start off the day, because on every single hole in this course, it starts with a par 3, and this one is pretty good. As you can see, littered with rocks and water obstacles in the front, and it's also on a hill, so it's an uphill approach, which means that if you're going to be hitting, you would often want to club up to make sure that you adjust for that difference in yardage. So while it is 143 yards at the hole, you want to hit a little bit more power just to get on top of that hill.
Decent approach. It's on that hill pixel, but I think that putt's makeable.
Oh, it's very, very makeable. I mean, you have to maybe make a small adjustment, but definitely able to make it from there. Now, starting to line it up. The challenge off the tee box is you can't use the pixel method to exactly line up with the flag on here, so you're going to have to use the arrows to align your shot as best you can. Kyle hitting a high arcing shot, landing in the rough, breaking it, and landing pretty much at the same spot as Decafumo.
So there is a little bit of hill that they have to take into consideration. Is he going to just let it rock, or is he going to make any adjustments?
Seeing slight adjustment to the left, and that seemed like it worked. It didn't break too much, so that probably gives some information to Decafumo. Oh, a little bit. Okay, very nicely done.
Works out.
Just bleeds in over to the right side of the cup and in. All square through 3 holes. This is usually how intense Neo Turf Masters match play occurs. This is, oh, do they not have a credits button? Okay, no, they do have a credits button.
Had to put some quarters in the machine first.
Yeah, honestly, like, and this is the other thing, I would hate to see this in the legitimate arcade, because match play on this, it would get expensive so quick. Because if you tie constantly, it doesn't give you extra games. And eventually, as you saw after 3 right there, you have to put a whole quarter in. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 18. For a full 18 round, you have to put 5. That's $1.25.
Yeah, just to play some golf, right?
In this economy? Are you kidding me?
All right, well, even with the 8 crosswinds starting on Australia 4, we did manage to thread right between the rough and the bunker, which is a nice nice open area for a possible eagle for Deca. Frank Adams playing in what he would call the fairway.
Yes, like I said, even though he got the rough, it does not matter. Frank Adams can hit it from anywhere on the green, at anywhere on the surface of the entire golf course, and it will just be the fairway to him. That is a disadvantage. But as you saw right there, the other thing is he has a higher shot arc than Fernando Almeida. So that means that his shots are way more affected by the wind than Almeida's shots are.
Absolutely. And it's very rare for Frank Adams to be able to on and two on this anyway, so he set himself up about as well as he probably could.
Absolutely. This is one of the many monster par 5s here, 583 yards with kind of a double hooking dog leg as it goes right into the clear, beautiful waters of Australia.
We do have a tailwind heading towards the east-hand side here.
Oh, use the trees to break in, and he's on into Decafumo with that one hill and then having to put it further down that deep, deep slope on the back edge of that green. That's going to be a pretty tricky putt, but still on into. A 2-putt is a birdie there. Meanwhile, Kyle at Games is going to have to sky it close. Hits over the trees and onto the slope. That's going to be a very tricky putt, but it is doable. Let's see if Deca can sail it in for eagle. A little bit of adjustment there, aiming slightly to the right of the cup, and I like that. Not a lot of power, let the hill carry it down, and it doesn't break over.
The hill just did not pull to the left as anticipated. It's surprisingly not a very powerful hill despite the length of it.
So let's see, since that hill didn't carry it, let's see if that causes Kyle to adjust a little bit, and it does. Too short.
Oh man, that was definitely the opening that he needed to ensure that Power Golfer's ability to get on and two would not sink him, but unfortunately, first blood has now been shed.
A very nice 2-putt from Decafumo, and now going into the 5th, one up over Kyle at Games. course, this is the culmination of the top 4 final that we hosted yesterday as soon as stroke play ended at 8 p.m. last night. We had our semifinals, which included Chase Tatsujin, the runner-up last year, and Library, defending 2-time champion, got upset by Dekafumo. So no matter what, we are going to have a new champion here this year.
It's very exciting. And
Oh no, we're going for the funny shot.
Oh, we're going for the funny shot? Oh, check this out, Chad.
Whoa,
nice.
right over that river. And also right
it.
within range of Almeida's sand wedge, so it's a very good place to be at. So how this hole works, the 5th is a 414-yard par 4, as you can clearly see with that river separating it. A lot of golfers cannot hit it over that river with a maximum shot, but Kyle at Games showing the veteran how he does it.
Yeah, you got cool shots. Watch this. Let me show these kids how it's done.
Oh, with an 8-meter tailwind. And that's pretty much a dead tailwind, too, like right at the wind. The wind's right at Kyle's back, so it's definitely going to club down, maybe add some backspin just in case the wind decides to carry it over.
Backspin.
There you go. Lets it sit down and in a very nice position to make that putt.
I like that putt a lot.
Okay, 6 tailwind for Almeida.
A little more eastbound.
Always going to hook it over to the right just a little bit, so naturally aiming over to the left-hand side of the flag. He's got 118 yards left, so I imagine, yep, shoring up on that meter just a little bit. And opting to carry it high so the wind carries it, and almost had it on line. Very nicely done in pretty much the same spot, so let's see the putts go on.
You have some grain to take into account here, but otherwise I think these are pretty easy putts for the both of them.
All right, here's Kyle's putt.
Good putt.
And very nicely done. Gets it in for his 3. And now we have Deka up the deck.
You got the knowledge, make the same putt.
Nicely done. So this is also the first time that we're going to have to address grain into this. So just how wind is one of the random generating RNG factors in this game, grain is the green part of that. On the green, when you land, it's just the same as wind. It has a chance of generating a grain in a certain direction relative to the north, south, east, west, facing cardinal directions of the green. And what happens is that grain will influence the ball's movement in that direction. So for example, if you're hitting a straight putt on a level flat green, a direct left or a direct right grain will slightly curve that ball just ever so slightly to the right or to the left. So on top of hills, you also have to keep the grain into account as well. Meanwhile, look at this. Dekafumo on in 1 and putting for eagle in a very nice spot. Flat green, very short distance to the hole. That's
the power
solid.
golfer.
That is the Almeida special.
Yup. It's definitely going to be Kyle's biggest adversary, is the ability. He's going to have to either do a chip in at this point or hope that Deka somehow manages to miss this putt. Highly doubt it.
Under 30 yards left, and the backspin.
Good backspin.
It's going to creep
It's gonna
on
go down the
that
hill.
Oh, and just burns that right side of the hole. Almost had it. He's going to have to settle for a birdie attempt here. Here's Dekafumo putting in, and just a straight right-handed side of the green, and that's going to be an eagle. Dekafumo striking again on the 6th with a very nicely made green in 1. That eagle is going to put Deka up 2 rounds.
Definitely showing how Almeida can be top tier in the right hands. But there's still plenty of golf left.
There's a lot of golf. We are only 3 holes away from the transition over into the back 9, and in Neo Turf Masters, that is like dog years. This game, especially in match play, it is a very long, very tedious, very exhausting play of just constantly playing these holes over and over again. And of course, it could be what happened in one of the finals last night, or the 3rd place bronze match last night, where it just kept. We went to sudden death, and they just kept going and going and going.
Yeah, it's the mental exhaustion that tends to kick in once you start heading towards the end of the matches can really affect your decision making. This is another hole where the power golfer is definitely going to shine once again. Hopefully, Kyle can manage to keep a gap between them from forming even larger.
Yeah, and especially if there's going to be a headwind. I mean, a veteran can't really drive the ball that far, and anytime that there's a headwind on these long par fives, I mean, you see it right here, 579 yards. This is one that distance golfer just kind of eats up. Even with this headwind, has a chance to make it on the green in this next shot to putt for eagle. He's got to thread the needle between these two bunkers that guards the front side of this green, and he's going to be able to do it, hitting on the shelf in a really great spot. Just a straight downhill putt from there, it looks like.
That hill is deceptive in the direction that it will roll into, though, so Deca will need to be very, very sure, especially determining on the grain on which direction of that hill he should aim. So it's not over yet for Kyle.
Very nicely done. That shot landing right next to the hole. Oh, and a grain going against the hill too, so probably is going to be tricky on the power setting. Sets it right below the tick, sends the putt, and it looked like it was going to rim out at that point, but nope, just straight and true, sinking it for eagle. That's 2 holes in a row now, and Decafumo goes to 3 up.
Definitely a very strong starting front 9 card for Deca.
And you see it both on those par 5s where you got the advantage. Again, that's just the inherent disadvantage that veteran has. Like Frank Adams, a very seasoned expert in getting out of these tricky situations anytime he hits his ball into the rough. But when it comes to distance, he just does not have it. Oh, especially this hole. So the 8th on par 3, this is a tricky hole. Anytime that you get one of these, what I like to call Grand Canyon holes. There's one like this in US, and I believe there's also one like this there's
one in Japan.
There's one in Japan as well. But you have to not only cross that gap, but there's also the landing area in front of the green on these holes are very, very small and not really that well defined. So if you underpower your shot even just a little, you'll end up hitting the cliff face and your ball's just going to fall down into the bottom of the canyon.
But the opposite is also true. When you have a ball that lands on the green, you actually gain additional distance than on the fairway, so you can end up overpowering your shot.
Wow,
but
what a
Kyle,
shot!
Setting up for an easy birdie.
It doesn't get any better than that. Meanwhile, Deca has to kind of finagle into an awkward situation. That hill kind of curving around the hole, so you're never going to know which way that hill's going to curve, and it doesn't break.
There's no influence? That hill did nothing.
No hill, no influence, and it broke over to the right. He's going to have to settle for par. And Kyle Games, that great advantage shot that he had, landing it right next to the hole. He doesn't have to worry about the hill and getting on the board with a W for the first time. That also means that he is going to go on the go-home hole before we go over to the back 9 with the first shot. He's now got advantage and goes first until Decafumo wins another hole, and then Decafumo gets going first. A little bit of the fist bump. It's like, shucks, I probably shouldn't have went over to the right too much.
It's good to see that we finally got ourselves a little bit of a match going on now. Kyle showing some momentum. And
literally, the front 9 can play out one way, and then the back 9 can play out a whole different way. You never know what you're going to get.
Absolutely. There's always plenty of golf. I've seen comebacks from being 5 under. It's back 9 really kind of separates the boys from the men.
Okay, so relative to Almeida's direction, that is a 7-meter headwind, opting to go and slice it over. And just screams past Frank Adams' ball, setting himself up about 114 yards from the cup. Oh, but that's 6-meter headwind. So in this situation, if you find yourself with a headwind, the advisable thing to do is to club up, because what you do is you hit a nice high arcing shot and you let the wind basically just break it for you, just like Kyle demonstrated there. A fantastic shot, setting himself up for an easy birdie. Meanwhile, now we have a direct crosswind. So Almeida's going to have to aim over to the left-hand side of the hole and let that wind carry it over towards the cup. Shoring up just a little bit, knowing that as soon as that ball's going to get into the air, the wind's going to influence it. Hits it at nice.
Looks like he put some topspin on that one and
A
made
little
sure he
bit.
hit up on the other side of the hill. You
Yeah.
saw how Kyle approached it and decided, I want that too.
And Crane going directly opposite their putt, so they're probably just going to have to hit the white tick. Again, that white tick is indicative of if it was optimal conditions, that's the strength that you would use to get the putt into the hole. But because these two hit hard, that white tick, especially if you have grain that's going directly against you, usually just means that, okay, I just hit the white tick and then it'll get into the hole.
Did a little bit of a micro adjustment. Hopefully that is exactly what he needs to hit it in.
Yeah, he saw that the hill bent the putt to the left just a little bit and finished with a birdie. We now go to the back nine with Decafumo 2 up. Kyle at games. Again, there's still a lot of golf left to play, and this is a very close game relative to what we have seen in the stroke play and the further match play matches that we had last night.
It's really going to be indicative of Deca's ability to maintain his consistent execution with a character that really, really requires that expert execution.
All it is just consistently making birdie and consistently getting those opportunities to force Kyle at games to make some risky shots in order to keep up with, for example, eagle attempts and a bunch of other stuff. So let's see if Decafumo is up to the challenge. 8-meter headwind to start off this tee shot. And clubbing down, doing the smart thing. Now at 306 yards to the cup, 319 yards overall on this par 4. Almeida can green and won it, but with this headwind, you see he's not taking any chances, playing it safe.
Yeah, no need to try to widen the gap when you've got this kind of RNG against you.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to play the long game and recognize that birdies and pars, stuff that keeps you under par and not going over, that's the key to hanging in this kind of match play situation. Has to club up, is going with a 9-iron, 129 yards out from the hole. The backspin.
It's right on that hill pixel, though.
About to say, it didn't get Deca up off the hill and onto that plateau, but got it close enough, so that might actually be a pretty easy birdie putt, but we'll have to just wait and see. Meanwhile, 120 yards even out from the hole. Kyle going with a 7-iron. Skies it a little bit. Oh, but the backspin ended up not working in his favor at the bottom of that hill. He's going to have to make an adjustment.
This hill angle is definitely a little ambiguous. Is it going to pull to the right, or is it just going to pull back? And it ended up pulling to the right just a little bit.
Just a hair, but made the adjustment nicely and sank his 3. Now Deca is up on deck.
I feel like he had to make the same choice. Is it going to pull? But it doesn't. Making easy birdies with both of them. Now,
because Deca is 2 up, there is a risk that if he pulls away on some of these holes, we won't get to see what everybody wants to see whenever we play Australia.
Yeah.
The 16th. For those at home that want to know, the 16th at Australia is the hardest goal in the game. It is the hardest hole in the entirety of NeoTurf Masters. And it's really hard to explain why without showing the layout of the hole. So hopefully, Kyle at games has got another big par 4 and a little bit of wind working in his favor on the tailwind. So let's see if he can maybe close the gap on this hole.
This hole in particular normally does require a little bit of trying to pull over to the right without getting yourself into the sand trap to set yourself up for a much better approach to the left-hand side of dogleg left.
Ooh, 7 northwestern wind. So now, when I said the strategy for a headwind, a tailwind is the opposite. Sometimes you can either put your shot low in order to make sure that the wind doesn't affect it, or what you can do is you can sky your shot, club down, and let the wind carry it to the green in order to get yourself better positioning.
I think Kyle expected the wind to carry his ball a little harder that shot. He set himself up for a pretty difficult putt. And that definitely gives Deca here a much better opportunity.
Especially if you land your shot like that, very nicely done on the flat part of the green and with the grain directly in his face. So that's going to be interesting to see.
Pretty easy shot here for Deca, but for Kyle here, he does have the grain kind of in his favor, even if the hill does pull a little to the left.
Comes.
But it doesn't pull enough.
Just burns the edge of the cup.
And that is such an easy putt for Deca. Pulling away again.
So we now are 3 up. Deca is 3 up going into the 12th. There's still a lot of golf left to go, and honestly, with how RNG works in this game, every single hole, it can change at the flip of the switch.
This is about the time when it does start to feel a little bit more pressure on Kyle. If they continue to go even on these next couple of holes, we do end up threatening Dormain.
So a 200-yard par 3. This is a kind of a far-reaching par 3, but the only thing that you got to worry about is the trees in the bunker that guards this front edge of this green. So most golfers, what they do is they aim out to the right and then hook it in left, or if there's a crosswind, they just let that shot up in the air and they let it just kind of sky in and almost sets down right next to the cup. Instead, has to settle for being at the bottom of that hill.
The hill in this particular hole is exceptionally strong as well. It's very well known for taking your ball and just curving it as hard as it absolutely can.
Now here's the problem. Veteran cannot hit this. Oh no, Kyle's going to go with the iron play here, even with this headwind.
Oh, it's going to go right in the sand.
And that's buried deep into the bunker. Oh my God. Oh, I found a seashell. Oh, I can hear the ocean.
He's got his sandals on. Thankfully, he does have that recovery. Not sure if it's going to be enough. He really will have to hope that Deca can miss that putt. He just has to make this one in order to hopefully survive. Oh, took it
no. Down. And here comes Deca's birdie putt. Yep,
easy peasy.
Straight in at the bottom. Didn't have to make too many adjustments. Deca Fumo is now 4 up as we go to the 13th. We're getting closer to that Dormy threat. At this point, Deca, you need to just throw a couple.
Just throw a couple. We want to see it.
We want to see Aus 16.
We want to see it.
We want to see Aus 16 more than anything else. I'm pretty sure that Kyle will showcase Aus 16 no matter what, if we have the time to showcase it.
Yeah, please.
Because that hole is just shenanigans. Okay, the 13th, a pretty long-reaching par 4 with a lot of trees dotting the middle of the fairway. Now, the thing that is unique about Almeida is his shot arc is really, really low. So anytime that there are obstacles surrounding trees, he actually has to force himself to play around it because his shot arc can't really clear trees if he's directly in front of them.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely one of his biggest obstacles. Thankfully, Deca doesn't seem to care and just plays right around.
Oh, no. Okay, now we have Kyle having to resort to...
Even more difficult, he is forced to use his forward, which means he doesn't actually have any spin. He can't topspin or backspin using his wood, but he did set himself up for a pretty easy putt.
And now this shot's going to be pretty difficult because there's an 11-meter headwind going over to the west just a little bit, so it's going to have both carry and a little bit of hook to it.
Oh, there it goes.
Oh, sets it down, but at a very awkward angle. Look at the hill angle that he's got to deal with.
And the green is not helping either. This is definitely one of the harder putts that Deca has put himself into.
We're starting to see the shenanigans come into play. Here it comes.
Oh, the hill doesn't pull. The green, no help at all. So finally, an opportunity.
Was expecting that to go well wide. And now Kyle at Games sinking that in.
All right, signs of life.
It is not over until it's over. There's still plenty of golf left to go. On to the 14th, and especially on Australia, the real challenge are the last 4 holes. Aus 15, 16, 17, and 18. One of the hardest back stretches in the game.
Oh, easily.
And it requires you to really be on your game in order to secure a low score. Oh, look at that pin placement, too, on the side of that hill. Hole number 14 is dominated by that giant green 14-meter tailwind. Oh, that's just brutal.
We're playing golf now. This is what we were here for.
This is the true spirit of Neo Turf Masters. Just when you think you are going well, the game will punish you for your hubris.
I appreciate the safe approach, not No rock skip this time.
No,
I understand.
No rocks. I don't think Dekka's going to be going for it either. No.
I don't think any character in the game would be capable of rock skipping.
Wait a minute. No, he's not seriously considering it.
No, no. Is he doing it?
I think he's doing it.
No, he's not.
Okay,
Okay.
no.
But
He put back and is just taking a really low shot to take the wind out of the equation.
I get it. Yeah, that's fair.
Don't need rock skip, especially when you're 3 up. You don't need to do rock skip. So actually, I probably should explain rock skip. So if you see on the mini map, there is a body of water separating the fairway and the green with a giant rock in the middle. Now you can bounce on that rock with your shot, but here's the problem. The rock, the direction that you bounce on the rock is completely random.
Yeah.
So you could bounce towards the green, or you can just bounce directly hard left, and your ball ends up in the water.
It's worth doing it for the stream, though, every time.
Oh, yes. It is definitely a crowd pleaser. Oh, my God. The 14-meter crosswind. The wind is now starting to become a huge factor in these shots.
Oh, does he put backspin on it? He doesn't.
No backspin.
Oh, no.
That's really big. This could be really big for Dekafumo, because if Dekafumo wins this, next hole will be Dormy.
He's going to go ahead and putt from the rough. That is probably a safe bet, given... Ooh, very close approach.
Now, if the grain is... Okay, the grain is kind of in a bad spot. Needs to really strongly putt this up the hill.
Put it up. Oh!
And that's going to do
it.
Good
putt. Little tricky. They thought about it. They thought about lipping out.
Okay, we go to the 15th on Dormy. If they tie on this hole, that means that Dekafumo is going to be your 2024 Neo Turf Masters champion here at Combo Breaker. But if Kyle wins, we get to see Aus 16. So Deka, please just throw one. Just give him one.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is one of the holes that Almeida can definitely show some of his Almeida power.
Yes, this is the 15th hole. It is a monstrous 652-yard par 5 and very, very narrow. You see that those little fairway bunkers guarding a majority of the real estate on the fairway. So you have to thread your way around those obstacles. And manages to sky it, and already with just one drive, Almeida has halved the distance of this hole. But a bit of a tailwind if he slices it into the wind. He's going to have at least a little bit of help on this opening drive.
He hit that one with confidence. As long
as he gets close enough to get a good approach shot, and if the wind just cooperates with him and dies down, could get a chance to get a chip in, an opportunity. In a great spot on the left-hand side of the fairway. He's got a good angle at the hole. Meanwhile, here's Dekafumo.
He can on in two, but with that tailwind, he is definitely going to risk even possibly overshooting the green.
No, and doesn't overshoot it. That's on in two, putting for eagle in a very good spot and location. If Dekafumo manages to close this out before we get to Aus 16, he's going to become the biggest heel in the entire community.
Oh, not in your first tournament, man.
In your first tournament, when you have to play Aus 16 at least once.
It's all right. We'll just ask him to miss this putt, right? That's actually a very good approach.
That could have been it. That could have been it. That was a very nice shot, but it didn't go into the hole. That grain is a little weird, though.
It is odd. Oh, he confidence putt that one, and it makes it in.
Sink.
That is it.
And that's going to do it. Your Combo Breaker 2024 Neo Turf Masters champion is Dekafumo Death Cult, and Kylet Games with your silver medal. The TO entering his own tournament and getting second. Very nicely played. Good stuff to both of our golfers today. And, of course, congratulations to our other competitors that made the top 4. Library earning a podium place at 3rd, and Chase Touchton placing 4th.
That was some good golf.
That was some good golf. Again, unfortunate that we didn't get Aus 16, but that was still a great showcase of Neo Turf Masters, and a really unique one, too. Like we said, usually Landhold is the one that is getting all the attention, getting all the praise, and getting all of the tournament wins, but that was actually a very nicely done match with the two extremes of the game. That was a textbook, really good Neo Turf Masters match play. So,
yeah, I'm really, really happy to see some character diversity this time around.
It's always fun when you get character diversity on the biggest stage that you possibly can. So it's great to see. So Well, yeah, there's your NeoTurf Masters Match Play Final. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching that, and hopefully you can pick up the game and play it yourself, because we usually run this event every single year at Combo Breaker in this format that we do. And I think with this new format, I think we now finally have the perfect balance of traditional golf stroke play and, of course, exhibiting some match play and how shenanigan-y that can be.
Yeah.
I guess that's the word I could use. How much shenanigans can happen in that kind of format as well.
Yeah, and a lot more chances for upsets, too. The ability to knock out the previous champion.
That's correct.
Yeah.
There's no 3P from Library this year.
No.
And last year was also amazing because it was Chase had a massive stroke lead, and then Library on the last day of Australia just shot 20 under, forced a playoff, went to sudden death, and then won the playoff. That was amazing.
Yeah, that was a really, really good match. I hope we get to see matches like that going forward.
Yeah, so I think we are just holding on stage to get the trophies and the medals. I see Chase out there. He's joining the festivities because he is going to be getting a medal. He placed 4th, managed. For those that don't know the format, I will go ahead and divulge. So how NeoTurf Masters at Combo Breaker works is that it's in 2 stages. The first stage is stroke play. On Friday and Saturday, we play on a designated course. Friday was Germany, and Saturday was on Japan. And your goal is just play a regular round of golf, get as low a score as you possibly can, and then over those 2 days, your scores are added up to where you are on a leaderboard. The top 4 on those leaderboards with the lowest scores get to play in a 4-man single elimination playoff match, with the semis happening on USA, and then the bronze medal match happening on the map that you just saw, Australia.
And USA has not been played yet.
It has not been played yet, no.
So a lot of the golfers don't practice USA.
They don't. USA is usually used as an equalizer because USA is unique in where it doesn't really give any golfers a distinct advantage. It is a mysterious course filled with a lot of mysterious things that pretty much ruin the game plan of any golfer, really.
There's no trees either.
Yeah, no trees, barely any wind, but it has a lot of the layout of each of those holes, and also the mixture of distances really doesn't give one golfer an advantage over the other.
In fact, some of the holes actually give some of the top golfers a disadvantage. There's a par 3 in US that is just the right amount of distance where even the more powerful golfers still have to use a wood to approach. It makes it so that you can't use topspin, and I believe there's even a patch of rough right in front of the green requiring you to make a dog leg to the right. It's not easy.
Those canyon holes that we saw on Australia, US 12, I think that's one of the harder holes with that huge giant gap, especially that island green. It's super, super hard to get an accurate shot on, especially if you don't have the juice to actually loft your ball over all that water and all that waterfall.
Absolutely.
All right, well, that is going to be it for NeoTurf Masters here at Combo Breaker. Congratulations to Deca, Fumo, Deathcall, and Kyle at Games. Thank you, Kyle, for organizing this whole weekend for us. And hopefully we will be back next year with some more golf, because it's Memorial Day. You got to golf on Memorial Day,
absolutely.
Of course. So for That Freaking Cat, I am 4C Joe, reminding you to always take care of yourself, and we will see you at the next one.
We got more Combo Breaker 2024 ready to go. But before we do, let's take a short break.
Sheldon, we understand that our no-shells pistachio ads upset you.
And to show you how much we understand, we had these made. And you're gonna stop selling no-shells, right?
No, they're wildly popular.
What do we look like? Idiots!
If you guys haven't done so already, be sure to check out all of the new fighting game event merch coming out to celebrate Combo Breaker. We got new hoodies, bomber jackets, and plenty more if you guys check it out over at combobreaker.org/shop.
Get ready to rumble at Combo Breaker with the Yeti. We're setting up our booth with our official Street Fighter merch that'll knock your socks off. Plus, don't miss out on our event-exclusive releases. Meet us there for some epic gear that celebrates your fighting spirit, or shop the collection online at theyeti.com/combobreaker.
There's a new challenger in Skullgirls. Play as Marie in Skullgirls Second Encore with the Season Pass on Steam, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, or Xbox, as well as Skullgirls Mobile. Download it today to get Marie for free on the App Store and Google Play.